Today is day one of the Conservative Policy Convention. Tories from across the country are meeting virtually to debate policy proposals. Party President Scott Lamb had the next election on his mind when he spoke at the opening ceremony.
While we have vigorous and passionate debates in our party about policy and governance at our conventions, we must come together as never before to show the country we are ready to govern. We need to show we are united, focused on the concerns of all Canadians across the country, and ready to take on the Liberals in an election that could be weeks away. I have every confidence that our leader, Erin O'Toole, will do just that.
High are the stakes going into this for both the party and Mr. O'Toole. Erika Barootes is Enterprise Canada's Western Canada Vice President. She's with us from Edmonton. Senior consultant with Navigator, Shakir Chambers, is in Toronto. And Kory Teneycke is the managing partner of Rubicon Strategy, and he's with us from Ottawa. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Shakir, I'll start with you. That clip from Scott Lamb, what do we take from it? Is unity a big part of this?
Well, yeah. I mean, at all conventions, you want to be a unified party. You want to be mobilized to go into an election. I think we've all seen the stories of some of the infighting happening in the party. We all want unity, but I think the big thing here is it's okay to say Erin O'Toole is a leader. We should unite around the leader, but I think the party needs some ideas to unify around. And I think this is Erin O'Toole's opportunity to put something out there that the party can actually say, this is what we stand for, this is what Erin O'Toole stands for, and as we move forward past the convention, this is our pitch to voters, right? How do we differentiate ourselves from the Liberals and put our Conservative vision forward?
So is, Kory, the speech tomorrow night a pitch to voters across the country, or should it be a pitch to Conservatives? I'm asking because I was telling you in the break, we had David Hurley on the Power Panel who was saying this should be about the party. He's got to get the party behind him, worry about the public later. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I don't disagree with that advice from David. I think it's terrible to have to be in that position. Like, I think ideally this would be an opportunity whereby you put some big ideas in the window to try to stimulate the general public and try to get some attention for those. Given that we could be in a campaign in basically 6 weeks, like it could be very soon. At some point you got to go to the public, and they're running out of runway here for this thing to take off. But the fact that they're having to talk to the party is, I think, a problem. Scott Lamb's remarks there sounded like a scolding father telling the children to behave well at dinner time because the in-laws are coming over, something like that. It sounded rather pleading in nature, and that's not really where you want to be. You want to have the troops jacked up and give them what's the game plan for winning, not having to sort of fight these rearguard squabbles. Frankly, many of which are coming out of his caucus.
Yeah, let me just quickly follow up with you before I get Erika to jump in. Why do you think that is? Like, why is he in the position he is right now? That's for you, Kory. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Why do I think he's? My apologies. Why do I think he's in that position? I think because I think he pulled a bit of a bait and switch with those who voted for him in the leadership. If we think back to this panel when we were meeting and talking about his election, he ultimately won because he got social conservatives to vote for him as their second choice. So getting Leslyn Lewis and Derek Sloan's supporters, although many of Leslyn Lewis's supporters weren't social conservatives. There were a lot of Western Canadian conservatives who were angry about things like a carbon tax. And what they've been hearing is a softening on some of those issues and saying, hey, well, we got to moderate stuff to appeal to Toronto and Quebec voters. Sure, fine. That's not how he sold himself. He sold himself saying, how dare you vote for Peter MacKay? He's a squishy red Tory who's going to not have a home for social conservatives and who's going to cut and run from other core conservative values you care about. Well, he's the one who's been doing the cutting and running subsequent to that, in the view of obviously some people in his caucus and some people within the party. I understand why he's doing that to appeal to a broader audience. I don't think it's a bad strategy externally, but what is the genesis of its internal problems? It's that bait and switch.
Erika, what's the temperature in Western Canada? Is there a sense that there has been a bit of that bait and switch?
I would say, the biggest thing is we were really hoping to come out of this convention with a clear idea of how the party is going to back Western Canada. Aaron O'Toole ran very significantly on the push of uniting the party, but also uniting the country, which has a big piece in Western alienation. So I think that this is a great opportunity for him to come out with some of those directional things. I'm a voting delegate and know that there's a lot on energy and environment and finding that balance and economic diversification and economic development that we're looking for to kind of be reassured that, to Kory's point, we're not only focusing on GTA and some of the areas that we know need to have some focus, but also that he's going to be true to his point on that Western front and supporting those folks that did really help his leadership.
How hard is it to strike that balance, Shakir, to acknowledge and address the concerns that come out of a place that you really supported you in your leadership, and then talk about the places that you have already acknowledged you need to grow in?
Yeah, it's a difficult job. There's no question about it. I think when you look at what's going on in Western Canada and you look at the oil and gas sector and you look at some of the job losses that have happened there, I think if you had a rallying cry, a unifying cry, it's really focusing on jobs in the economy. And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's kind of pivoted early in this pandemic to focusing on economic recovery. I think what they're really banking on their side is that once Canadians get vaccinated, they'll switch from worrying about COVID supports and focusing more on how do we grow the economy, how do we ensure there's job prosperity. And I think that can be a unifying voice to those in Alberta and to those in Ontario and Quebec. Is he going to deliver that message tomorrow? We'll see, but it's a delicate balance for sure. There are certain priorities that I would say are important in Western Canada that may not receive the same priority in Ontario and Quebec. And as Kory said earlier, the strategy they're doing right now is they want to moderate some of their stances, or some of the things Mr. O'Toole said earlier. He's kind of switching his stance to play specifically to Ontario and Quebec. And I can see how that can anger some of the Western voters.
Is talking about economic recovery enough, Kory, to unify various interests within the party?
Well, he's got a real conundrum because the most recent polling that's come out shows that the Canadians trust the Liberal Party, shockingly, quite shockingly. I'm not being facetious about that. I'm shocked that they're trusting the Liberal Party more with economic matters and managing the economy than the Conservatives. Normally, that's bedrock territory for Conservative parties. So the fact that the Prime Minister has an issue lead on that has got to be deeply concerning. I think parallel to that is a concern over how he's doing in Ontario. That's an area where I have a lot more access to polling information that isn't in the public realm, and the answer is not doing well. In seats that Doug Ford holds that give him this majority, Aaron O'Toole is running 10 to 15 points back from the Liberals. This is really, really a bad situation. I think he's right to be distancing himself from some of the more radical elements in his caucus and in the party, like Derek Sloan. I think that I wonder if he did it quick enough and on the right basis. Often leaders have more time to sort of bring the party together. But definitely one of the things that held the party back under Andrew Scheer and is holding the party back under Aaron O'Toole is a lot of women aren't comfortable that this is a party that's socially moderate, that reflects their values, and they're not terribly interested in voting for it. So it's really a challenge. This idea of having to unify the party, not pull a bait and switch on your members, the members of the party that voted for you, but at the same time trying to have mass appeal. I'm not sure how he brings that unity together. I'll be watching tomorrow night, just like everyone else, to see what ideas he puts in the window and how he does that. I think there's not a lot of time left to do it. So I think myself and everyone else who's a Conservative supporter are looking to see what rabbit he pulls out of a hat.
Yeah, I think that's why the genesis of my question, Erika, is economic recovery enough? I think I don't discount that people are very concerned about how that happens and that the state of the economy right now and the pandemic. But is there enough different stuff that Mr. O'Toole can put in the window that truly says to people, well, it's not worth voting for another party. We got to unify behind this one?
Yeah, so I definitely think Aaron really needs to use the opportunity tomorrow. It's the first time that he can really speak to the party and Canadians and break through the narrative that we've all heard for the last year about the pandemic and now, about the vaccination. So I think he really needs to be thoughtful in his message tomorrow because he is going to have the ears of Canadians for a different tone. And it does really need to focus, especially, like I said, on the energy environment, finding that balance, which I think actually focuses on economic recovery and economic development that we'll see. But it also adds a thoughtfulness to the Conservative Party that I think a lot of people that might be swing voters don't always see. And I think that sending the family message and that, he's a little bit more relatable. I think he's got a different angle than what we would have seen from Stephen Harper or Andrew Scheer. And I think it's time for him to really lean in and leverage that and speak from the heart, as well as maybe a little bit different than what we saw from the president, Scott Lamb, but more of a raw, but still have that tone of being a Canadian first and really reaching a voter, not only to reassure our Conservative Party that we are united and he's coming out with a strong message for that agenda, but also that broader voter base that we need to capture in this next election.
Okay, lots of fodder. Thanks, guys, for us to look forward to as we analyze that speech tomorrow. We'll see you all again soon. Thanks so much to Shakir Chambers, Erika, Barootes, and Kory Teneycke. Hi, I'm Vassy Kapelos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.